Yes, I'm kidding. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. I am Steve, and we will be looking at my wide receiver, their expected ranges and floors and ceilings. Expected floors and ceilings. This is how I like to look at things. These are not my rankings. I haven't moved these guys around. However, they are based on a specific projected number, which is meant to rank them, which performs pretty well against consensus rankings. So this is something that I started putting out last year. This is my bread and butter where I started as far as putting out my stuff publicly. And I also created a little I believe and I do not believe column in here. Put this up on Reddit, on the Fantasy Football subreddit. Let me explain what we are looking at. There is an explanation at the bottom of this on the website, www.theFFforge.com, where you can find all of my rankings for all of my positions. I don't do DST or kicker rankings, not at this time at least. I may bring them up weeks where I think it's necessary, but always willing to help out with questions. So I keep forgetting to put this in my other videos. Every Sunday I should be live to help you with your start-sit questions, your last thoughts, your last desperation. I want to start this guy over Alvin Kamara, should I? And let me say, no, you should not. That was really hard for me to give you that advice. I've never done that before. So hopefully everything runs smoothly and I'm able to do that this first week. But, things happen. We'll see how well it goes. I'm going to try to make that work. So for this week, let's just start out with the I believes. I believe in the floor and ceiling of Justin Fields in week 1 of last season. Defenses were not prepared, and I don't think that was random. With the new shorter preseason, teams playing starters less, less off-season work, and I think teams with that extra week, at least right now, just feel like they haven't more time to develop throughout the season and become better as the season goes along. So I think there's a certain advantage that the offenses are walking into on week 1. Last year, week 1 was just insane with the amount of fantasy points that were just put up around the board. So I will not be surprised if Justin Fields has a borderline quarterback 1 finish. And just to look at that floor ceiling that I have for him, as you can see, compared to where the projection put him, compared to even where the expected range kinds of puts him. Although this is better, but his lower expected range isn't great. Looks like he should be higher on this list, and I believe in this matchup this week, even though that could be a bit of a ugly matchup. I still believe in Justin Fields this week. I think mostly that came from some of my concerns that San Fran defense may not quite be what it has been and may take a little while to get there. And probably why I wrote this is that in week 1, defenses weren't prepared. So I'm just thinking it could be a good week for Justin Fields. Then I do not believe, and I thought that this was some super easy pickings, as Tua and Trevor were quite low on this list. I did have to use some numbers from last year in order to get this information to pop out of the other end of my wonderful Excel sheets that I've created, because I don't know how to write some sort of algorithm or anything like that. So I'm pretty 1990s with my knowledge of technology. Luckily, I can get around on Excel fairly well. Tua and Trevor might be a little underloved here, and I am definitely thinking that I like Trevor Lawrence this week quite a bit. Now, I'm pretty high up on him as far as like DFS stuff goes. Go ahead and play him. That's that. So over here on the left, this is my temperature gauge. This is not projection numbers. This is based on things like the Vegas line. It's a secret recipe. I can't give away all the secrets, but it is more so a gauge of like, hey, Aaron Rodgers, there's a higher chance that he'll hit this ceiling, do better than the ceiling or whatnot this week, given some of the, we'll call them environmental factors around the matchup. So this being red hot is a good sign. We're expecting him to finish higher up in this expected range, if nothing else. That's the expectation. Whereas like a Trey Lance being cold, we're a little bit worried. We're concerned that this might be more of a floor game for him. Maybe he's looking more at like 16 points compared to 220. Yeah, that's the thermometer there. So it's just kind of a gauge of how much you should be liking the matchup, essentially, is a good way to put it. And then our expected floor, our expected ceiling. Players finished last year. I kept track of these. I don't think I'll be doing that this year. Is a lot of time. Roughly 88% of the time they finished within 4 points of the ceiling and within 2 points of the floor. It was not an easy decision to make up that margin of error, but there is a certain margin of error with those percentages that I have to take in, and mostly it's to account for like 2 out of 3 times. It was like 31.0. This is actually 30.93 points is the actual ceiling here. So it'd be like 30.96 points. Well, I really want to count it, but I like to have a hard cutoff. So give myself a little bit of a margin of error to keep track of those percentages. That is how this works. Like I said, this is not necessarily rankings. This is to help you decide, hey, I'm looking for I'm looking at Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers, and is there any? And obviously, I'm playing Lamar Jackson. Although Aaron Rodgers does have a hotter heat gauge, so maybe you like that. Here we go. You're looking at Justin Fields and Tom Brady. Which one should you play this week? Well, are you looking for a ceiling? Because then Tom Brady actually does have the higher ceiling here. Or are you looking for the floor? Because then Justin Fields has a better floor. So let's look at these rankings quick at what came out of the other end and what I agree with and disagree with. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts at number 2, playing against Detroit. Yeah, can't argue with that. Lamar Jackson playing against the Jets. Might not have to score points all game, so I guess at least this lower expected ceiling makes some sense there. Justin Herbert, yeah, I like that matchup. Kyler Murray against KC, like that matchup. Aaron Rodgers is pretty high up here, but going up against Minnesota, I can't argue with this. This is one week where Aaron Rodgers might have a high game, but it's risky with this. None of my algorithm knows that Aaron Rodgers is not throwing to Davante Adams anymore. So there's some concern on how well oiled that offense may be, how much it may lean on the run. So yeah, I wouldn't put Aaron Rodgers up this. I would say, yeah, if we wanted to compare him right to Russell Wilson, you're looking for a boom week from your quarterback, I would go Aaron Rodgers. But for the most part, I would probably rather have Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers. Trey Lance against Chicago, not loving that matchup. Neither is my temperature gauge. I do always believe in this floor with these rushing quarterbacks, and my stuff definitely enjoys the rushing quarterbacks for these higher floors. And yeah, I would put Patrick Mahomes higher up here. I put Patrick up like quarterback 5-ish on here. Jameis Winston, I like quite a bit this week. I might have him maybe above a Dak Prescott. I'd probably trust him more than Trey Lance this week. So somewhere in the top 10-ish here. Let's see. Joe Burrow playing against Pitt. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Tom Brady. This feels about right to me for Tom Brady. Not the highest ceiling, not the worst floor. Just kind of a safe guy. Trubisky here, that's interesting. I don't know, some crazy soul out there going to start him. I wouldn't rank Trubisky up this high, but I do find that very interesting. Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, they all feel pretty safe in that range. Let's see. Yeah, Baker going up against Cleveland, redemption story there. There's going to be a few guys I would play over Baker for sure. Let's see, Kirk Cousins. This could be a pretty good week for Kirk. I don't know that I believe in this. That being said, really like this Green Bay defense a lot. So I would be concerned if I had to start Kirk Cousins, but I would be hopeful that this is going to be a shootout, which is very possible. Say Matt Stafford against Buffalo, that should be a shootout. Like, I would definitely move Stafford up. If Buffalo still had Tre'Davious White, that would be a different story. But he is not going to be playing. That defense is a beast when he is in there. It's a little different when he's not. Justin Fields against San Fran. I would start him over Baker, over Mitch Trubisky. But I could see why you might want to start Mitch. I do have concerns about that game. And then Derek Carr, yeah, he should probably be up a little bit higher, probably a higher ceiling than Kirk Cousins. I would play Derek Carr over Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill might have an efficient week. Daniel Jones helps that Tennessee's defense has been a little bit depleted as of late. I'm not putting my faith in him though. Carson Wentz could be a good week against Jacksonville. I like the temperature gauge, and I don't know who I would start him over, but that's something that you could ask me on Sunday. Once I know the name that you're comparing it to, I could come up with an idea there. Matt Ryan against Houston, I wouldn't be too excited about that matchup. Tua, I have a little bit higher than this just for the potential ceiling. It is a tough matchup, division rivalry. Miami usually does pretty good against them. I would start Tua over Ryan Tannehill for sure. And then Marcus Mariota against New Orleans might not be that terrible, but they don't like it. I'm not going to argue with that. Mac Jones, not going to argue. And then Trevor Law, I would play over a Mitch Trubisky, obviously. I'd be down to play him over Jameis Winston. Dak Prescott is where I start to say, well, I'll just go with the stud. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence probably around quarterback 11, 12 for me. Seems high. But I really think he might have one hell of a week. So these are my quarterback predictions, expected floors, ceilings. These are the ranked order. Not necessarily my personal preference ranked order, but nonetheless a ranked order that I stand by. And you can always ask me about who you think I would prefer on Sundays. Otherwise, I really do like these floors, ceilings here are some great tools to use. I prefer the expected range. Take your pick. Other than that, goodbye.